is the...
Well, we made the decision that we feel like it's unfair to burden any neighborhood, whether it's the Belvin neighborhood or the San Antonio neighborhood, with traffic that they're not used to. That's why we decided to route it the long way around. That's why we held it to collectors and arterials. We didn't feel like either way it would be taking traffic that people aren't used to seeing and routing it that way. There was one concern. We talked about splitting the baby. Exactly what you're saying, making southbound on Belvin and northbound on San Antonio. But again, we are making a decision, the TxDOT expressed concern. We're taking regional traffic, inner city traffic, and routing it to local neighborhood streets. And we chose not to do that. We chose to think about those streets versus it was. The contractor felt because of the proximity of the widening is towards the west that they could handle maintaining the one lane of traffic on the existing arterial street. The other lane would be detoured to other collectors and arterials.
I'm almost wondering if it's the influence of certain, notable people who live on Belvin that kept that traffic from being diverted. Because, I live on Belvin, I'm thrilled, although Mike Dixon's a cut through, but I'm just wondering if this is because of, certain influential people in town live in Belvin. So I appreciate that you keep raising that issue, sir. You've done it now 4 times.
I would say that...
And I agree with what you're saying. My work has no value compared to some other folks.
I would say
that's
that...
a fact. That's not
I would say that we carry equal weight to both neighborhoods as we discussed this. And that's why we came out with the route that we did. Not one neighborhood above the other, but that both streets have local residents and houses on them, and we wanted to minimize that. Both have value.
It doesn't hurt the former mayor lives on Belvin, and her, the sons run all the real estate. So it's just very interesting. So.
Two questions for you. What is the time frame that you're talking about right now that you're estimating for this to begin for this rerouting?
It's a 65-day milestone. The contractors agreed to do it within 65 days for the detour route that you see here. And so this is primarily the utility installation and the pavement placement. This won't be the end of the construction, but it'll be the duration of the one-way operation.
Okay, let me go back. Richard, approximately what day is the 65-day going to start? Approximately. I'm not asking for a specific, just a time frame. 1 week, 2 weeks from now?
End of January, 1st of February.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. So end of January, 1st of February, we can tell everyone that to be prepared for this going through. Second part of that is that I know I tried to get around to most of the businesses, the small businesses here. I know a few of the businesses, we were going to try to get over here, but they weren't going to be able to later. What are you doing specifically for deliveries to, this is zoned for commercial in this area here, and it is going to affect them. So what are you doing specifically to try to, deliveries, communication, those kind of things for them about this time frame, and so they know specifically what to do for deliveries?
Roberto, sure. I think you're with Dan Williams?
Yes. What was the question about zoning?
Accommodating delivery.
Well, that's why we're going to have one-way traffic through that area the whole time. Because
it's a communication issue. Is more what I'm getting at is you've got both the residents in the area that yes, we have some concerns that are major, but you also have for deliveries, you have some of the businesses in the area, just making sure that we are communicating to them. I know the message has gone out. I hope that some of them are here tonight, but also I'm just kind of asking for a little bit more TLC with some communication to them.
I think it's what your process is to notify people when you'll be crossing through and limiting access and rebuilding driveways.
Well, the most important thing we do is a weekly meeting when we're doing our planning sessions, is communicate that to TxDOT and as well as with the city. So then those messages can be relayed to the citizens.
Okay, I'm going to push it a little further because I think you're missing my point here is that if I'm a business owner, okay, and I know specifically you just gave me a time frame, end of January, beginning of February, you need to let let your delivery drivers know that they are not going to be able to come from a certain direction to deliver. What am I going to need to do? And that's all I'm saying. It's just a little bit more in-depth, and that's all I'm asking.
Roberto Montalongo with TxDOT. I can give you a little bit insight. I think in one of our weekly meetings when we're discussing all these possible detour routes is 2 weeks out going and knocking on all the doors of the affected homes. You know, we had thought about if we do divert traffic to San Antonio Street, prior to doing it, let's knock on all the doors, let them know, hey, this is what's going to happen.
Okay.
But I talked with their project manager, Clayton, and we're going to do the same thing when construction begins. You know, just go knock on all the doors, all the affected people, say, you know, we're going to move the mailbox here, we're going to put your trash there, put it here, and knock on all the doors. You know, go after 5 p.m. when most of the people are home, spend a couple hours prior to knocking on the doors, give a little pamphlet, say who we are. You know, same thing kind of like on here with numbers where we can be reached. Give you a little heads up, and then also another thing that we try to do is if we're crossing somebody's driveway, let them know 5 will be done. You know, for some reason you have a doctor's appointment, you need to get out, let us know. We'll try to make it convenient for you, but that way we can, you know, come and talk to you personally, figure out if you have any priorities or something where you need to be, we can address it at that time. That way, you know, 2 weeks out and then 48 hours prior to crossing, I think would be.
That wasn't done on the south end, but now it's going to be implemented for the north end. I mean, I don't.
It's telling me they're learning. I mean, and that's a good
Well,
sign. I'm glad to hear that
understand
we're learning from.
I mean, I had to blow the horn to have people move so I could get out of my driveway. I was actually told that I couldn't go in my driveway and had to enter at this residence and drive across my land just to get to my house. But I guess my main concern is that, you know, for the north end, it's going to be implemented, but at the south end, I have not seen anyone from TxDOT, from your company, or from the city knock on my door once to inform me of what, you know, what can I expect. And I mean, I live on the south end, but now the north, and I understand you're learning, but I mean, this isn't the first project that you've done, I'm sure. So, I mean, to me, it's kind of like, well, that should have been done from day one.
You're right, should have. I apologize for that.
Could also, I guess, could you guys be more proactive on the boil water notice? I was the one that had to call when that main line broke. It looked like the aquifer coming up to me. It didn't look like a water line. And apparently the contractor did it themselves. You guys shut it off. It wasn't the city that did that, which had an impact on the workflow of a water boil notice. And so if you guys could be a little more proactive on that, so, you know, pregnant moms and, you know, sensitive people aren't drinking that water.
Once we wrap up here, we do have an exhibit that Richard's prepared that shows the outages that will happen as we do various tie-ins. Part of what we've learned, this is an older area of town, the water lines are old, we don't have enough valves. As we make tie-ins, we're adding valves, and that area that gets impacted is reduced. But we have proactively worked out with the water department, the various tie-ins. We're coordinated with them. They're prepared for support. That's important to the contractor. They're on a limited time frame. You know, you've heard that. They have a 65-day commitment they've made for this construction. That means we have to operate as a team with them when we come across unexpected utilities. So we have been working proactively to address that, and we'll be glad to kind of go over that with you some more if you have more questions.
Thank you.
The bishop is in Craddock, that's a four-way stop sign. You want to put in a traffic light there?
I don't think temporarily that we'll need to do it. I think that for 65 days, 65 working days, please keep that in mind, that's not 65 calendar days, 65 working days. I think operationally it will be okay. I think what we're going to find is a lot of people who are making that southbound journey will just take I-35 and not go through town. I just think they'll find an alternate route.
Is there going to be any nighttime work planned right now? I mean, I know that, you know, maybe it continues based on 65 days, but I know that was an issue that kind of came up as kind of a surprise to the neighbors to have a lot of the nighttime work. Also, that just happened to be at the worst time for I-35 getting shut down.
That's exactly right.
Not having contingency. Not your fault, that just was a perfect storm of everything going wrong. But, you know, is that nighttime work planned at all?
I
think there probably will be an occasion, there will be some nighttime work, but it won't be consecutive nights, you know, it won't be week in, week out. And if it is, it'll be planned, so notification can be made to everybody involved.
So it won't be 24 hours straight?
I can't answer that. I don't know if it'll be 20.
That was very much a surprise, especially if you had to go to work the next day.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
One of the things, and again, I think we want to stress, and it's unfortunate that we were not as prepared as we should have been for the
They
south
had the
side.
citizens active. That was by their own volition they weren't prepared. Purposely don't
We
listen
have
to us.
learned, and our goal is to communicate more with you as the residents to understand what's going on.
Oh, how
I think
nice.
many times when you feel like you don't know what's going on, it's much harder to plan your life. And so please, if you have email availability, give us your email address. We're going to try to send out updates to let folks know these things are going to occur. Obviously, TxDOT will do the notifications and the contractor as they've done. They'll continue to work with them, but as many ways as we can communicate with y'all, we want.
Following the 65 working days, this road will revert back to two-way, right? How many lanes? 4?
Three.
3 lanes. Okay, and will there be a bike lane?
Not between Bishop and Dixon. The bike lane will be south of Dixon.
Oh, 100.
On Hunter.
I mean, on Hopkins, right?
Well, south of Dixon, where Hunter begins. The bike lane will be there.
Where nobody rides a bike.
Okay, what about Hopkins from Craddock downtown?
Say that again?
On Hopkins from, not Craddock, I'm talking about Wonder World downtown. Excuse me, Wonder World downtown.
On Friday?
No. On Hopkins from Wonder World downtown. What about a bike lane there?
I believe right now the bicycle route is on San Antonio Street. So from Wonder World, you take Hunter Road to San Antonio, and San Antonio to the bike route into downtown.
So there is nothing in the plan that I know of, that correct me, going further because it was too constricted going from Hopkins on down to the downtown area. It was to reroute all bike traffic along San Antonio Street. Am I correct? That's what I remember from before.
And it's going to be wider, probably faster, and people are going to have a harder time crossing the street, so they're going to see, I'm on this side, and folks over there on the other side. It's going to divide the character and the identity of the people. Like I'm over here, they're over there, instead of being integrated like it was before.
I think that what we'll encourage you to do is we're getting ready to start the design phase of Hopkins between Bishop and Old Ranch Road 12 or Moore Street. That's the next phase through the historical section, and that marriage of the work here and continuing it on through the historic section of Hopkins and tying to downtown will be all part of that design aspect. Our goal is not to divide that area. It very much is to look at ways that we can preserve the fact that Hopkins does function as a major carrier of traffic through the city right now, but how do we protect the character of those very lovely homes that we have there?
If it's wider, traffic's faster, people are going to have a harder time walking across.
That's right.
And so,
Yeah.
so de facto, it will be divided.
I don't anticipate that the divided section will continue on beyond this section.
I'm talking about the width of the road itself will divide the neighborhood.
Our goal is to not have a wide road. It truly is not. That
Do we
is,
have narrow lanes or wide lanes?
I think that's part of what we'll go through on the design process.
Just have a design.
That intersection with the Wonder World right here, the larger one with Subway and all of those, that light going south, it's a green light, and it has a metal sign that says left turn yield. Is it possible to have an arrow, a green arrow at that light because I've been at that intersection more than one time where I've had to avoid traffic coming into town when I actually have the right of way and can't, I mean, to me, I've avoided more accidents at that location and since the construction has began. But it seems to me if you could put a green arrow for traffic that's turning and then block the other lane coming from the south, or at least change the signal timing, do something with that, because right now it's extremely dangerous to get there. The traffic lanes are misaligned, so the traffic coming in and the traffic going out, you actually have to change a whole lane in that intersection to get going out. But I mean, I've turned left and I avoid that intersection, but I live there. It's dangerous to me. I don't know if it just seems there's other alternatives to signaling that would help drivers be aware that, you know, they don't have the right of way just flying through there at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah, we can give a text, limit signal operation.
Or, I mean,
If you're southbound, make your left turn on the one-wheel drive, right, going towards
yes.
southbound Hopkins, southbound Hunter Road, make your left turn to go to
Yeah, I was actually going straight through and the girl turned in front of me and we hit right there at that intersection. She was turning to go to Wimberley.
You're wanting to remove the U?
I'm sorry?
You're wanting to remove the U from green?
Well, I would like to, as opposed to the sign, that, you know, people look up there and they see the light, they don't pay attention to the sign. But if the signal has either a green arrow that says it's safe to turn, and then the traffic oncoming would have either a yellow or a red at that time, I guess to allow